Greetings and salutations, my artsy friends. How are you all? I sure hope everyone is well. And it is not super hot where you are. As well. Is anybody here? Oh, somebody liked me. Yay! Okay, so I have so much to talk to you guys about. Tell me how you doing. Hey, Keels. Whoops. There we go. Tell me what's going on. How's everybody doing? Is everybody surviving the continued COVID? Catherine, I loved the picture of Auntie Sylvia and Cookie. I'm sure that was a match made in heaven. Doggies just bring such joy to our lives, don't they? They just, that unconditional love. You'll probably hear mine right under my feet chomping really loudly on their dental sticks. So anyway, I have a lot of things that I want to talk to you guys about today. First, I got this amazing package in the mail this week, and I wanted to share what I got. My sweet friend Keely sent me these fabulous pins. Look at them. This one is seriously a working color wheel. Stop it! I'm madly in love with that one, Keels. And this one is a jar full of paintbrushes. Seriously, it's like it came right off my table. I love it so much. Thank you so much, Keely. I can't put them on a jacket now because it is so ding-dang hot here. But I was thinking I would put it on the side of my art bag. So thank you so much, Keels. I can hardly wait to put them on my bag and twirl that color wheel. The other thing that, hey, Aunt Chris. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is weeks ago, I had talked to you about the clutter keeper that I had gotten from Scrapbook and Memories in Harrisville, Missouri. This says Kansas because I'm a dope, but it's Missouri. Nah. Anyway. It's made by a company called Make It by Marco, and this is the clutter keeper. So it's a storage, so it's kind of like a file holder. It is made with, hey Susan, it's made with a 3D printer, and I'm telling you, Make It by Marco, they are like ingenious with the stuff that they make with their 3D printers. Anyway, but this is perfect for my desk for holding a file of like things that I'm working on currently. Hey Lori, so if you are interested in getting one for yourself, contact my friends Courtney and Ken at Scrapbook and Memories in Harrisville, Missouri. It's just fabulous. It is. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is my friend Sarah in Knoxville, Tennessee owns a store, hey Lynn, called Scrappin' in the City. They had a water pipe burst and had extensive damage to their store, which is just adorable because it's in a little old house. And anyway, lots of product was ruined. They're having to move lots of things, and like last week they had all those fans, you know, if you've ever had water damage. Anyway, they are still taking orders from their online Scrappin' in the City. I think it's .com, but I will try and remember to put a link. They are on Facebook, Scrappin' in the City. So please support them as much as you can. So I just wanted to make sure that we talked about those two things for sure. And this morning, I don't know if all of you saw, but this morning I get to participate in a cool blog hop. I had a blog for years and then I kind of let it die, and now I just I just started a new blog, and to start it off with a bang, I was asked to participate in the High Supply Pear Blossom Press blog hop early this morning. So please go to my Instagram and you will see the post. You'll see the project. But if you go to my website now, there is a blog on my website, and it's called Let's Get Artsy with Ann. I know. Anyway, there are two whole posts, and the one that says, ooh, a blog hop, that's the one that shows the card that I made for the blog hop and all of the steps that I used. And these are the products that were, my music's a little loud, isn't it? These are the products that were showcased. The Easy Lights by, hi Lisa, by Pear Blossom Press. And they're the coolest, I'm telling you, they're the coolest product. So they are literally this little battery pack. This little piece that breaks off, just snaps off. And then these little lights on the end. The yellow part is the light, and it lights up after you put the battery inside. And it's the most compact little thing, and the super easiest. I was a little daunted in the beginning, but in the end it was so easy. And I also showcased this washi paper by High Supply, my friend Victor. And for mine, I drew, I had to kind of get in the mindset of, whoops, that's upside down, isn't it? There we go. I had to get in the mindset, and so I drew this art printable called Sakura, and it is all cherry blossoms and lanterns, and just like the more I drew it, the more I was like percolating my idea in my head. So for my card, if you push on the ladybug, it lights up. How cool is that? My friend Victor, who is the one who has this washi paper, not washi tape or washi stickers, it's paper, so it's quite fibrous, it's beautiful. This paper is on his website along with these gems. So he has these little droplets in many, he has the ladybug, all kinds of stuff. Anyway, I did also draw another printable since last we spoke, and that is Howdy. So it's meant to look like tooled leather, and so I just started painting one. I'm hoping that I will have something created with that in the next little bit. So let's see. Here's the one I painted. I'm just started. So you know I always start with a washi layer of color, and then I come back in and start building my shading. Okay, let's get to today's artist. So for today, so remember to follow me and like me on Facebook and Instagram at Ann Corbiere-Scott Designs, on Facebook at Ann Corbiere-Scott Designs. If you need to email me for anything, AnnCorbiereScottDesigns@gmail.com. My website is AnnCorbiereScottDesigns.com. And now that you're here for this class, make sure you ask to join our private Facebook group, Let's Get Arts with Anne. That's where we share things that are for our eyes only, all of our creations. There's 3 questions. Please answer them all, especially the third one that asks if you want to be kept up to date. And if you say yes, I need your email address, because that's the way I'm going to keep you up to date. So without further ado, today we are going to talk about Henri Matisse. So, I was talking to Keely and I was saying that, I talked to you guys about artists, and I've talked to you about like some of their great works of art, but I know that I'm terrible about going back and writing notes to you guys. And please, if I say that I'm going to post something and I don't do it, please remind me. I'm not offended. But anyway, here are some of his most famous. You did, Rennie. He's just amazing, isn't he? So here are some of his most famous paintings. Icarus, which is really quite full of movement and just modern energy. The Cat and the Red Fish. He was really intrigued by goldfish. Open Window, Blue Nude, and is it Gerbe? I believe. Anyway, the ones that we are going to talk about today especially are Open Window and La Gerbe. So let me tell you a little bit about Henri Matisse. So he was a French artist, born in 1869, died in 1954, which doesn't seem that far away, does it? Anyway, he was modern and abstract and post-impressionist style. In his style, he was a master of color. He was just a master of color. He really liked vibrant colors and say it again, Catherine. I lost my comments. Ay. Anyway, I'm hoping they'll come back. Like with a J sound, Catherine. Gerb. Is that correct? Hey, Sherry. Hi, Linda. Hey, Teresa. Rhymes with herb. Oh, so, la gerb. Sort of. I'm sure I'm slaughtering that name. Anyway, he was really famous for his still lifes, fruit, vases of flowers. He painted lots of vases of flowers, portraits, landscapes, and so that's where Open Window kind of comes into place. So I just thought it would be fun for us to, we had talked about not necessarily trying to paint exactly what the famous artist painted, but to be inspired by that. So I started to paint the open window of the resort that Jeff and I stayed at in Mexico. It was just so breathtaking. Anyway, so that's what my open window is. What will your open window be? I'm anxious to see what everyone's interpretations of that are. So I've just kind of started that. And then later on in Matisse's life, he contracted stomach cancer. And when he did, he was wheelchair bound, and then was bedridden for quite a long time. Anyway, during that time, he wasn't able to paint, so he created a new art form for himself, and it was brilliant. So he called it drawing with scissors. So he had his assistants paint papers for him, and then he would cut those sheets of papers into shapes and arrange them into collages. And that's the one, the most famous is La Gerbe. Is it with a La Gerbe? Rhymes with herb. I think that's it. Anyway, here we go. So what I did for this painting is that I had some of that ledger paper left over from last week, and then I had some book paper. I just like another layer of interest. So I glued them down, and then I started painting over them. So I only have two works of art to talk about today that I've done, but you certainly could look up Matisse, and I'm tempted also to do a vase with flowers, because he did many vases with flowers. The one big thing that I will tell you is that his backgrounds, he often painted like he used many different mediums, and he often painted like a wash of a background, and then everything was filled with patterns. He was really quite famous for that. Let's see. Simple still lives, and added lots of patterns. Oh, I was going to tell you his some quotes of his. Let's see. Pure colors have in themselves, independently of the objects they serve, to express. Oh, here we go. To express and a significant action on the feelings of those who look at them. That was one. And here's my favorite. There are always flowers for those who want to see them. Shut up. How brilliant is that? I hope I'm that kind of a person, you know, that I always see the flowers. I will tell you that Matisse was very good at using all four elements of art. He used lines, shapes, texture, and color. So remember that those four elements are what your goal is for each piece of art that you create. Lines, shapes, texture, color. I hope that everybody has that as a goal. You know, your art will be taken up to the next notch if you include, especially texture and well, all four of them are so paramount. Let's see. I think that's all I might have to say about Mr. Matisse. So I think maybe I'll just start painting, because color was just an expression of Matisse's soul. I've kind of really tried to embrace that. I mean, I love color anyway, but I'm trying to embrace that even more, especially in this painting of my open window. This painting, I kind of have an idea of what I want to do with it in my mind, but so you could do like I did, where you cut pieces of paper and stick them down, or you could just draw them on here and paint them yourself. So that's just know that either way is absolutely fine. Remember, I like to use the line as kind of my place to, it's kind of my guide for shading. But if you don't want that, you can certainly, I did this technique on this side, draw something quite lightly and then erase the pencil line so it's not as prominent. It's still there, so you kind of know where to where to fill in with paint, but if you lightly erase it, its presence is still certainly on the page, and so you can just fill in that shape and just use that very faint pencil line as a guide. So what is everybody going to do today? Do you feel like you're going to, are you going for the painting with scissors, or are you going to do your open window? I will tell you, I just struggled with what I was going to paint in my open window for a little bit. I just had a rectangle drawn on my page. I just had this rectangle, and I kept going back and looking at it, and I thought about doing the desert where I live. I thought about doing the pine trees of back home. And in the end, I was like, I just remembered, I just fell in love with Mexico when I was there. I fell in love with the people and the colors, and the landscape is just lovely. I mean, I'm not a, I know there's certainly lots of unrest there, but oh my gosh, it was just beautiful. It was just so beautiful. And I just kind of wanted to remember it. And I thought maybe that's what Matisse was doing too, you know? He just wanted to remember what he saw out his window. I mean, you could do it out your front window if you wanted, or your back window, whatever. Anyway, just I hope that you'll all embrace that, because it was kind of an interesting, well, I'm certainly not done with it yet, but it's kind of an interesting exercise, because you kind of have this limited palette, right? Or this limited space. So what I wanted to do was, I want the background to be stucco, and maybe I'll draw some tone on tone pattern within that stucco. I wanted Mexican tile around the window because I'm just madly in love with that. I wanted these beautiful shutters, but I wanted the sea, because you could see the sea right out our window, and we saw whales jumping, and oh my gosh, it was just so beautiful. So I think that will be kind of a work in progress for a little bit, because sometimes it's kind of fun to, as you're painting, to, it's like you're visiting that place again, you know, if you're painting a landscape of some place that you've been. So how about you, Keels? Which one are you going to do? Are you going to do the blobby shape? His shapes were quite organic, sort of geometric, but really much more organic than that. And I mean, he certainly had one painting called I think it was called The Turtle, and is that right? The Turtle? Anyway, it doesn't look anything like that, but his cubes of color are placed on that base so strategically, and oh my gosh, that's just stunning. So I'm going to just paint on here and talk to you, I guess. Ask me questions. Tell me something cool that happened to you this week. So he was a founding member of Fauvism, and that's kind of a cool a cool movement in the art community. So be sure to check that out. Fauvism, excuse me. So I'm going to come in with my second little layer of color here. Remember, I just like to let it dry a little bit, although I will say this art journal that I'm working in is not filled with watercolor paper. It is filled with mixed media paper, and so the paint doesn't move the same. But remember, I talked about last week, get to know your tools, the tools that you own. Renee, I am using Prima Marketing Classics. They're called a watercolor confection, is what they call them. And I am madly in love with them. I mean, I certainly have lots and lots of different kinds of watercolors, but I will say, especially in keeping with what I just said, I know these colors. I know what they can do for me. I know how they work on different substrates. I know the best way to mix them. I know how much I can layer them. So get to know whatever it is you have. Get to know your tools. Your tools are your brushes, your watercolors, your pens, your art journal. And you get to know them by working in them a little bit every day if you can. Use them and use them and use them, and then you are going to get to the point where you're like, oh, I love that blue, or I love when I mix that blue with that green, or whatever conclusions you kind. No, I don't. They dry, not necessarily chalky, I don't think. This was all done with, I mean, I think they just dry, not chalky like a distress oxide, but they just dry like watercolor. This was done completely with my Prima classic watercolors. So I have one little more piece of book paper that was probably, I can't waste anything. It was probably the extra from one of the things I cut out, but I can't resist it. I gotta put it in here. And I just love it. I love a good glue stick. So how is everybody doing? Are you feeling inspired to start painting? Let me know your thoughts. I am going to start painting this one that I erased so I can show you how I can see that edge, right? I can just fill that in with a nice wash of color. Oh, what ones did you use, Renee? Rubbed off, that's interesting. I know the painting with scissors, it's so cool, isn't it? Just the genius and the idea that he was so brilliant that he figured out a way to continue to make art. That for an artist, it's so very important. Yeah, I will tell you, Renee, if you will find different levels of watercolors. You just use what you can afford. But if you can afford them, I mean, I certainly have watercolors of all price points. But I do, these are my go-to. I think mostly because they're, I use them because the store that I normally teach at, this is what they sold. because they're quite, they're very good. The color is quite saturated. They're not artist quality, but they're probably like a high student quality. They're not like for children, and they're not, they're about $30, I think. And they last forever. Like I've used them forever. And you can, at least at one time, you could replace individual pans of paint. So that's a cool thing. I have started to paint with handmade watercolors. I think I talked about that last week because I did the hi Denise, how are you? I did the ABC art journal entry inspired by clay, excuse me. I did that with all handmade watercolors by a company called Hydrocolor. They those are, you know, you can get all kinds of different all different manner of handmade watercolors. Hydrocolor are mostly, she doesn't have very many matte colors. Most of her colors are, what do I want to say? Like glittery or metallic-y. There's another company that I've started to purchase watercolors from, and I did a YouTube video. So I do also have a YouTube channel, and so I do try to put some process videos up there. So be sure to check that out. And it's just my name and Corbiere-Scott on YouTube. There's a link in my Linktree profile on Instagram for my YouTube and my website and those kinds of things. But anyway, there's this other company that I've been using their paints, and it's called Artistic Isle. I think I might have talked about that. Well, maybe I didn't. But anyway, her colors are beautiful and creamy. Her colors are super rich. And some of those handmade watercolor companies will let you buy a dot card. And I don't have any up here right now, but a dot card is simply that. It's just a little piece of cardstock, and it has, you know, dots of different color, and so then you can kind of test them out, and that's kind of a fun way to test out a new kind of watercolor. So you might consider that. And it's just excuse me, it's just fun to try something new and different, you know. I love how this this is the same green. Isn't that fascinating? This green on the book paper versus this green right directly on the substrate are two totally different shades, and it's the same exact paint. So that's kind of fascinating. So what's everybody working on? I'm starting to work my way up the scale. I did talk, okay, so Renee, so there are a couple places. So do you live here, Renee? Or do you live far away? Do you live here in Arizona, I should say? I would never make them. That's like a big fat undertaking, and I just want to paint with them. Cutting out shapes was really fun. Really fun. Oh, yay! Oh, Oklahoma City. Okay. So I told you there's a great store called Papercraft Edmond, and she has, I'm sure she probably has the Prima watercolors. If she does not, she will certainly order them for you, because we want to support those local stores, you know. But you also might, look at, are you on Instagram? I know that lots of those watercolor companies are on Instagram, but also on Etsy. So, like, I just ordered a couple of dot cards from a place that makes handmade watercolors from the Netherlands. I'm just super excited to see what they are and what's different. So so you must not go on there very often, Renee, if you don't know. That's okay, Lisa. Just make sure you do something. Do you know what I mean? You paint something. It's just I think it's just fun to, oh, look at how dark that is. I think it's just fun to lose yourself in color, right? And you just learn a lot about yourself, about so you see I just added some color there, and now I wet my brush, and then I'm going to dry it on my paint cloth, and then I'm just going to move the edge of this paper, or this paint, excuse me, with a damp brush. That moving a damp brush, I'm telling you, is, I think, your best friend when it comes to blending. So you're just going to build up some color on the edges here. And that is going to create so much depth. So like, again, I wet my brush, I dry it off on my paint cloth, then I come back with that damp brush, and then I'm just gonna soften that edge, right? I like to either pounce it, or I like to just kind of really, little by little, just drag out that, just kind of pull that color out into the bigger section of what I'm working on. But you want that to be a nice gradient blend of color. And when you do that, you automatically create depth, right? You automatically create texture. Like sometimes, I will say, watch this, I'm going almost to the edge. Do you see that? I created almost like an egg, right? And by leaving a lighter edge, that's going to automatically create a little bit more, that's going to kind of create the illusion of like that this part is recessed, right? I'm going to soften that edge. I'm going to do that again. That's kind of a fun technique. So you might work on that. You're just gonna, because remember all of these entries into your art journal, they're all just steps along your journey, right? And you're just building your skills. You broke your wrist. Oh my gosh, Lisa. Oh, that must be awful. I would hate that. You must feel so hindered. Well, good thing that these will all be waiting for you when your wrist is all better and you can paint, 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 paint. Well, Renee, if you go to Paper Arts, make sure you say hello to my friend Susan, who is the owner. And she has the cutest doggie, and that doggie's name is Shadow. And give Give shadow a pat for me. Oh, I am loving that green. Now let's do the same thing with this green blobby leafy thing and see what the difference is. So this one was shadow. Oh my gosh, that doggy is so dang cute. This one is on the book paper, so now we're going to try it on the substrate. Right, straight into the substrate. So I'm going to take I'm just put a little water on top of the pan of paint, and I'm not mixing it on my palette. So I'm going to come back in here, let's see, and do the same, right? Go almost to the edge. Right? Oh, that's pretty harsh. Remember, we talked about if you feel like your color is too deep, you can wet your brush, dry it off on your paint cloth, and then you can come back in and kind of remove it, like wet it, and then take your paper towel, smush it down in there, and it'll remove some of that. So that'll help with your softening your edges. Interesting. Oh, there we go. There we go. So I'm just going to continue with this green. I'm going to do that technique where I'm going almost to the edge, just building that up. Remember, that you can do many layers, so don't feel like you have to create the exact look that you're doing. Circles and world dies. Oh, on your Sherry, are you doing that on are you doing circles and world dies on the painting with scissors entry? That's kind of a cool idea, you guys. You could just die cut some shapes and put them down, and then you could paint them. You could use crayons. You could, you can do all kinds of things. Just remember, you can just take your time. Is anybody watching anything good on TV? So Jeff and I started to watch History 101 on Netflix. Has anybody else watched that? It is fascinating. It is, let me see, which ones have we watched? The first one was about fast food. The second one, let's see, what have we watched? Feminism, China, Space Wars, nuclear energy, genetics. Oh my, it's just fascinating. It's just so fascinating. It's so interesting because I'm looking right at this as I'm painting it. It looks very different than when I look up on my iPad. It is my gradation is much more apparent when I look up because you're a little bit further away. So. Marcella, ooh, tell me about that, Sherry. What is that all about? Oh, I do love that Orthodox. It's so good. So now I'm going to come in with another layer of that green, but I'm going to go almost to the edge of that second blobby shape. Just kind of deepen that up. Oh, I need to turn a little bit to get to these other leaves. I hope everybody is having fun. Remember, this is just an exercise. I just want everyone to feel comfortable. No judgment here. Oh, my paint had a little, my brush had a little bit of water on it. I just want everyone to do their thing. No right or wrong way. Now I'm going to try and soften those edges a little bit. That's what I'm telling you. That is what I love about watercolor. That I love just moving that color around. It is so relaxing, isn't it, Keels? And I think that's what we should be doing. Right? Just taking our time. Hi sis, how are you? That's my cousin, Pat Stein. She calls me Anne Marie. My whole family calls me Anne Marie, and we all call her sis. It's just what we do. Her mom called her sis, and so then we all called her sis. I'm loving that. I know I need to just leave that green alone. Let it sit for a bit and then I'll come back. So let's see. Maybe I'll do this purple. Or could do this one blue. That might be cool. Look at the difference between this blue and this blue. Just on paper, on the different substrates, right? It's kind of fascinating. I could build this blue up a little bit. Is it hot where you are? Anybody? Is it cold where you are? Where are you, Lisa? Are you here? Oh, yeah. Northern or southern? Southern, I presume, if you said it's hot. It is very hot here in Arizona. It's supposed to get hotter this week. Only in Arizona do we say, you know, when it's 90, it's cooling down. Yeah, whatever, Catherine. I'm sure it is not hot where you live. I'm sure it is not. Don't you just love that moment when the blend happens just organically and perfectly? That makes me so happy. Let's see. I'll do this one, purple. I probably should have picked a bigger brush. Is anyone using a medium other than watercolors to 70? Whatever, Catherine. Is anyone using a medium other than watercolors to do your art journal entry? That's always kind of intriguing to me. If someone's using colored pencils or oil pastels or acrylic paints or crayons, whatever. I like to mix them. So like I might start with watercolors and then I love to add colored pencils on top of watercolors. I just love that because it just deepens it and creates more texture and depth and it's just fun. You did. Thank you, Catherine. You didn't say it in Celsius. Are you painting, Catherine? Catherine's all the way across the sea in England. She is my cousin too. I hope that this has inspired you to just kind of Well, number one, to learn more about the great masters and see how that can influence your own art now. Your how you can take ideas that they had, or color combinations, or methods, and make them work for you. Like I said, we're not trying to emulate the great masters, we're just trying to be inspired by them. Oh, how is everybody doing? Oh, it has been, well, after a fashion, after an old fashion, that's a drink over here. I don't know if it is over there. Or, after a fashion, like a period of time. Hi, Cammie, another cousin. How are you today? I hope you're good. I hope one of you is inspired to paint. Matisse, that's who we're working on today. Let's see. Let's use some more blue. I hope you're introducing Henrik to some art, Miss Cammie. Holy smokes, that's bright, isn't it? I would. I told you I have 73 first cousins, and I love and adore them all. That's for sure. Sherry, how hot is it down in Tucson? Crazy, I bet. I think this one should be blue too, and then this one purple. Don't you think? Or this one purple and this one green. I don't know. I like them when these are my big dilemmas in life. You know what I mean? That's for sure. Well, this one, shall it be blue? I think so. How's everyone doing? Oops. I know, isn't it crazy? You know, I know it sounds crazy to have 73 first cousins to other people, but it's kind of just normal for me. My husband doesn't have very many cousins at all. One time he met one aunt's children who has 8 children, and he thought that was all of my cousins, and I had to break the news to him that nope, that was just one aunt. There were many, many more. It's so interesting how it starts out kind of patchy. Oh, yeah, I bet you're having residual effects from the fires down in Tucson. I know, it's an awful thing, isn't it? It's that time of year. How's everyone coping with the pandemic and the stay home and the mask wearing and all of that? I hope you're all well. I have many masks now because I live in Arizona and they get sweaty. So I need to wash them out more frequently, and so I know, but you're a Michigander. So that gives you street cred. You know what I mean, Cher? The mask wearing doesn't bother me so much. I don't understand why people have such a problem with it. I would certainly rather wear that than a ventilator. And you're doing it for your fellow man and woman. You're protecting them from you. And I'm alright staying home. I do go a little batty every now and again and just drive around in my car a little bit. And then I do seem to feel better. Ooh, desert sunset. That would be beautiful, Rennie. That will be beautiful. See, mine was kind of sunsetty too. It was just, oh my gosh. How many first cousins do you have? 21. Yeah. My kid only has a few too, Keels. Let's see. I'm thinking this should be purple. I hope that you're all little by little growing your artsy arsenal, and you are getting like just every now and again getting a new round brush or some watercolors or a artist pit pen or a micron, because remember, those won't move with water, and we do most of our artwork is with water-based medium, so color that moves with water. And if you're doing any kind of ink work, you want that to not move when you add water and color. So just little by little, once a month, buy yourself a little something. But buy what you can afford and what allows you to create art. Remember, I told you, it doesn't matter if your art journal is a composition book and your watercolors are Crayolas, as long as you're allowing yourself to just escape reality for a little bit and just to embrace your creative soul for just that little bit. I'm telling you, you will feel the difference in yourself. And you'll be thinking about it. You won't be thinking about the icky stuff in life so much. Every now and again, you'll just think about Matisse. You'll think about color combinations, or you'll think about what you're gonna paint out your window. I know you blame me, Catherine, but come on, I blame you for a lot of things too. That's what cousins do, right? And friends. We open up each other's eyes to new, fun things. So tell me about the arts. Tell me about the subscription, though. I'm anxious to hear about that. Oh, Renee, I'm so glad you're using a creative journal. That's what I'm using. And you know what? I love it for many reasons. So I love it because it is lots of real estate, right? You have a big chunk of real estate. Sometimes people are intimidated by that, but sometimes they're not. Sometimes they want it to be want a big space to try out new things. Yes, Catherine, I did get you addicted to Alegria shoes. But we both love Keen, so there is that. And you're the one who turned me on to Keen sneakers. Come on. Where was I? And remember, you can, I print my art printables on watercolor paper, and I kind of hone my watercolor skills with those too. And you might go check them out because they are, you know, that's a small area, that's a small canvas, right? So I can work on a skill on this square. I can work on a skill on this square. That was where this cherry blossom was right here. And this is the sentiment that was down here. So here's one for a slimline card, or you could make a bookmark, whatever you choose. But I like to print them on watercolor paper. That's kind of my, that's my jam. I do love watercoloring. Although I do print them on Hammermill sometimes to fiddle with my alcohol markers too. And on Hammermill you can use colored pencils too. So that's cool. Let's see, this should be what? Purple. This little added piece. Almost there. Okay. So how are we doing on time? Oh, Keely just said that it is 1:08. So I guess it is time to sign off for this week. I'll be back again next Saturday with a new artist for us to explore. I told Keely one of my favorite times of the week is about Wednesday. Then I know that people have started to post their creations. I don't care if it's something from the beginning of all of this. I just love to see what everybody's creating. I love to see when people post their painting of my art paintables. It all is magic to me, and it just is inspiring. And like I said a while ago, my goal is to add a new art paintable every week. I'm working really hard on that. I do have one that I'm creating for my friend Catherine. She has a YouTube blog hop, well, video hop next Saturday, so I will introduce that one earlier, and I'll let you know the details about her video hop as soon as I know more. I hope that everybody takes some time and paints this week, or draws this week, or well, mostly paint, because there's nothing more relaxing than putting paint on paper. It makes me so happy, and I hope it makes you so happy. I adore you all, and I can't wait till we meet again. Until then, we will have to just see each other on the Facebook group, Instagram, or just plain old Facebook. I'll talk to you all soon. See you soon. Bye.